Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. This is the Peace Dealer, and this is a concept that I wanted to share with you. You could add to it, take from it, subtract from it, change it. You can transform this concept in whatever way you want. Maybe in your perception or reality, you're probably aware of this concept in a different way that might be completely different than what I'm expressing. Go run with that. But I wanted to share this, and maybe it might resonate with you. Maybe you know someone who is dealing with this. Maybe you yourself are dealing with this. I'm sure this video will apply to some of you watching. So, with that being said, okay, I wanted to share the concept of gifts and curses. I just kind of use these names to describe these phenomena, but you're welcome to, maybe you might know them under different words. Like some people know certain aspects of curses as juju, right? Or gifts could be blessings. Anyway, I'm going to start with the curse part. So, especially, given this outpouring of spirit and awakening that we're coming into in this new cycle, one phenomenon that's not necessarily old, but may come into great resurgence, is the contractual nature of curses, okay? As is not a surprise, especially if you give into the whole flooding of the world due to Nephilim, right? The presence of fallen angels in the second heaven is very prevalent. Whether you have your third eye open or not, it's important to have a healthy acknowledgement and acceptance of these type of forces, principalities, powers, thrones. Yeah, you may not believe in angels, but even if you're skeptical, it's important to at least seriously approach the existence of these beings. Fallen angels, if you think, especially along the manifestation chain of beings who fell into the second heaven, ruled by the prince of the power of the air, Libra, the morning star, is next to the underworld, right? Scorpio. So this spawned, with angels who lost their grace, the development of the demon clan, or instead of just calling them demons, cursed spirits. You have the Holy Spirit and spirits that are pure, and then you have cursed spirits. Cursed spirits are spirits that are not aligned with God's will, which deviate essence out of alignment with purity. These are the spirit essences and influences that push one to do what's wrong, to do what's distorted, to promote separation, and to just be evil. I'm gonna just be real. So, what's common to see is these fallen angels and cursed spirits are able to gain expression in this 3D material reality due to their persuasive influence in convincing sovereign human beings or human beings with authority over their own bodies to give away portions of their own soul, so that in exchange for the power of these fallen angels and cursed spirits, they can express themselves through these human vessels. And so, a curse is a special type of contract that has honestly been around for ages. Now that, beings are awakening more of their spiritual potential than ever, these type of contracts are going to be more accessible and also You're gonna see a lot more of this. This is all under the occult. So, as I'll get into the explanation, it's not necessarily easy to tell who has gone through a contract. These things are more common than you may think. A mother who is so worried about losing her child that she begs out in the night for anyone to help. And in that depth of hopelessness, she may make a contract. Some maybe even under the impression that, it's a good thing they're doing. Not that I'm not going to say what they're doing is good or bad, if we just look at it objectively. Or someone that has darkness or hatred in their heart, makes a pact under these circumstances with which they now become a vessel for literal evil or cursed essence. Okay? For those of you who walk the path of exorcism or deliverance, the only way a curse can be destroyed is through an exorcism. And so it's an exorcist's job to identify the nature of a curse/contract and to expose it, exorcise the demon, and or deliver the person who made the contract. Because not everyone wants to be delivered. So you'd have to actually murk that human too, so that they're not able to use their vessel again as a point of blah, blah, blah. Okay, but once again, a curse is a special type of contract where a cursed spirit and or a demon will make a deal with you, okay? And relative to this deal, you can gain enhancements to your spirit and mind by giving a portion of your soul or making a sacrifice. We've seen this with Faustian bargains. This is actually the basis of how Faustian bargains work. You're giving a piece or portion of your soul for fame, notoriety, money. Contrary to popular belief, these things are not permanent. It's usually over a temporary portion of time. And in most cases, you don't give all of your soul. You give but a small portion to a large portion, depending on what you want. For others, you just have to make a sacrifice. It's still attached to your soul, but you have to make some type of sacrifice. You can sacrifice your eyesight so that you can gain, spiritual vision. You can some people may sacrifice their ability to walk for 10 years so that they can gain something else. And then, of course, after that heavenly pact, or after those 10 years, boom, they can walk again. Like it's a contract, okay? In most cases, it's not this is how it is for life. It's based on what you agreed with. Now, because this is done by cursed spirits themselves are bound by the contract as well. But in some cases where they're exceptionally strong, they can actually go against the terms of the contract and screw one over. It's rare. And most demons wouldn't opt to do that too, or cursed spirits, because the contracts are usually in their favor anyway. So it would actually, in most cases, go against them to go against the contract. But it is not impossible, okay? And so with that being said, on top of that, we know that there's a time limit on these curses. And once again, it's based on a sacrifice. Any type of gain you get came at the cost of some portion of your soul. Now, there's different types of curses, but one we'll look at is the soul scale. So you can sacrifice at most the entirety of your soul, but it also depends on who you sacrifice it to. Like if you're to sacrifice it to a mountain imp versus Satan, Lucifer, you'll get a lot more power from one than the other. And of course, the portion of how much your soul you sell would also, or really, lease out, will let you know what you come into. Everyone's different. Everyone's essence is different. Everyone, of course, will now have different experiences. So there's so much more to talk about when we kind of talk about curses. But now, let's take this in contrast to blessings. When you're blessed by the Holy Spirit, you get gifts of the Holy Spirit, okay? This is a reward of some sorts, in that or you were born with it, in that your alignment with the will of the Lord enables you to express these gifts. It's not necessarily because, oh, I want to have these gifts. These gifts are usually blessed to you in order to be of service to one another instead of being used for selfish gain. So unlike contracts through curses, you don't lose anything for gaining these gifts. It's a blessing. You feel me? Like, you, if anything, it's an aspect that's added on, that's an expression of the Spirit. And of course, people who get gifts are people who are holy and people who express the 7 virtues. If you're usually struggling with a deadly sin like pride or wrath or sloth, you usually have to align that to a virtue or purify that, and that will now enable you to get a blessing. The prerequisite to being blessed by the Holy Spirit is to be aligned with God and express the 7 virtues. And then when you are ready, you will be blessed. It's not even something you wait for. It's something that happens or you're born with. And so, yeah, blessings, the blessing of prophecy, the spirit of teaching, the spirit of healing. There's an infinite number of gifts. All right. And depending on the aspect of God or the Holy Spirit you represent will influence a lot how you express the spiritual gifts through your being. And just like the supernatural abilities curses give you, you also get supernatural abilities from blessings too. Albeit they don't come at some weird, strange consequence because it was from a pursuit of selfishness that, the contract was signed. These gifts are gifts. And, that you'll have them for life. Hence the blessing. All right. That being said, you're going to see this whole notion. Many of you might be aware now of certain people who have what look like gifts, but those gifts came at a cost. So they're not gifts. They signed a contract. And many of these contracts are occult. So, they're bound by secrecy. No one's going to tell you they signed a deal with a demon, whether through a dream or an actual physical proxy. All right. These things are going to be unveiled more than ever. You'll start to connect 2 and 2, like, oh, you know what I'm saying? This person recently lost a leg, but you know what I'm saying? Gained this, or their best friend died, but they got out of trial. You know what I'm saying? That's not necessarily conclusive enough evidence to just start accusing people of signing demonic contracts, but you personally will gain extra insight on top of examples like this, and you'll just know. The reason why you should know is you should be very careful with dealing with anyone who does contracts of the sorts, and you should align yourself more with people who are blessed and people who are blessings. Okay, because people with curses usually are cursed and usually use this to deceive other people. And people who with blessings are usually blessed and use it to serve other people. It's literally that simple. Anyway, I would love to hear your thoughts, okay? Especially for those of you walking the exorcist path, or for those of you walking the path of deliverance, the exorcist path. It's a form of dark arts, where you have to do light work for a good part of your life first, same with deliverance, and then you start to do dark work. You have to deal with the psychologically ill, and you have to deal with demon-possessed folk, because the path of exorcism has you locate, identify, and deal with the darkest of dark within people in life. You slay it, you exorcise it. It also is a prerequisite to the Soul Reaper path. And then, of course, the deliverance path is a more, whereas the exorcist deals with slaying that spirit, the deliverance path deals with the darkness, but it helps save the people who are possessed by this darkness. Exorcism path is for people who can't be redeemed and decide to give their life to the darkness. You'll use an exorcist to just murk that person instead. But they're both correlated. I hope you enjoyed this video. Definitely looking forward to your feedback. It's an exciting concept I hope to expand on in the future. And until next time, shout out to those of you who are blessed. I'm winning myself. Peace.